Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. I don't know if we have to wait for the crowd that is outside to
Jaime,
come.
¿cómo estás, tío?
Yes, we may wait or we can start. So thank you very much for coming and for being here. We hope we have a lot of people outside will come. And today we're going to have, I hope, a very interesting panel talking about startup maturity on the ecosystem. So for that, we have 4 fantastic panelists. First of all, Sergio from Sabadell. Carlos from Clickart. Javier from Quinter. And Angel, you founders. So first of all, I may introduce myself. My name is Alberto Tornero, as you know, and I am the partner at PwC in charge of the scale-up and open innovation area here in Spain since 2013, so almost 10 years ago. And we may know everybody here 10 years after.
Okay, so hello, my name is Sergio Pérez. I work in Bank Sabadell. I'm in charge of the Sabadell Venture Capital, the venture capital arm of the bank. And mainly we have 2 activities. We invested in capital, in startups, and also we provide what we call venture debt. That it's a kind of debt that it's a hybrid between capital and debt. Okay.
So, Carlos Rivera, co-founder of Clickart, online car seller, founded in 2016, actually exited a month ago, and where we generated 500 million euro sales in the 6 years, team of 600 people, and with 5 million euro raised.
Well, my name is Javier. I work in Bank Inter Venture Capital. We invest in a joint program with Fundación Innovación Bank Inter in startups based in Spain, Ireland, and Portugal, with scalable models based on technology.
Hi, my name is Angel. I am from YouFounders. I belong to YouFounders. What we do is we are the first marketplace of entrepreneurship. We connect entrepreneurs with advisors and investors. And concretely, my role is to do a soft landing with investors like Javier and Sergio. And yep, that's it.
Okay, guys. Fantastic. So today we're going to talk about a very specific relationship, what is startups and corporates and VCs and whatever. Okay. What I mean with whatever is, maybe you have seen that our ecosystem is getting mature, so it's increasing, the size of the companies, the players, this event since 2012. So we would like to talk about this relationship about the startups, VCs, investors, and the maturity, taking into consideration the maturity of the startups and all its growth stages. So, for example, starting with you, Sergio, when do you think that is the moment, or talking about that, the moment in which the company or the VC should start talking or should start relating with a startup?
Okay, depends on what are you looking for. For example, as a corporation in the bank, of course, a lot of corporations we would like to be very close to the startups because all of us we say, okay, we would like to be close to the innovation, to the freedom, to the speed that the startups they have. But the reality, it's a pity, but it's another. I mean, usually the corporation, it's a monster for a startup. Why? Because the startup wants to do things very fast. And they want to do things thinking in business and thinking in that I need the customer. But corporations, we have another rim. We need to do different internal things. That is not better or worse. I mean, we need to have that process. So, for example, always that when we invested in the company and they ask, okay, I would like to speak with your colleague in, I don't know, in this area. Always we say, okay, depends on the company and the startup. I mean, if you are too small, The reality is that it's very difficult to work with a corporation because the times that the corporation needs, the process, all the paperwork, everything that needs to be done takes a lot of time. And for the corporation, it's time, but usually for a startup, it's life. I mean, I think that all of us will listen, oh, I would like to have a contract with this monster or this big corporation. And sometimes as an investor, I say, okay, forget it. Forget it because we are not ready. I mean, it's important to be ready to work with a corporation because we need some resources, some time, and we need to fill in all the gaps until you can go to the customer. And sometimes we speak about 12, 18 months. And that for a startup, Carlos, you can reply me. I mean, it's...
You can die.
Yes. Okay, and I imagine that you can explain a lot of histories or relationships with corporation. And it's true?
Yeah, I think it depends on the rules that you put with the corporations. For example, like it also is not the same a venture capital that corporation, but if you put the rules with corporates that you have complete autonomy, I think you can do very good things with corporates, right? I think usually it's like evil, right? Okay, corporations compared to startups, it's not the case. In our case, we can say that when we partner with PSA, Peugeot, actually, we put the rules that we will manage the business, but in the meantime, they provided capital, they provided cars, and they provided knowledge. So it was quite good. Also, to make decisions with them is very, very complicated, but if you have, it's pretty clear the rules, who manages the company, and the things that you need help for, I think it can be a very, very good thing, actually.
But you need a size. You need to have some size to start working
Absolutely.
with the corporation.
And Javier, what do you think about...
I fully agree with Sergio and with Carlos. For me, it's very important to analyze and to know, to answer the question about when, you have to know which kind of investor you are. If you're an investor, you're a partner. You're an investor, but more a financial investor. So when you invest, you're going to, your timing will be defined about the size of your fund, the role you have to take in the funding round, and the stage you want to take in the company. If you are an investor, but with a more strategical view, you have to understand which are your commitment with innovation, your timing, and how is the bet you want to do with the company. And in the third option, you can be a partner or a client of the startup. For me, the timing is starting for a Series A, when a corporation, when a startup has a structure bigger and strong enough to serve the demands of the corporate. But the answer is you have to analyze which kind of investor or which kind of partner you are willing to start with the startup.
And Angel, you have the links between many players. So when do you think, or when you're feeling about when they should knock on a big corporate's door?
It's difficult to answer like when, right? I completely agree with the rest of them, but I think we have two big examples here in Spain in the Spanish ecosystem. That might be PAC, one of the biggest success cases in the startup ecosystem. His first customer was El Corte Inglés, starting with that huge monster. And I was actually hearing an interview to Xavier Rosales and how they got to that corporation, and also obviously they were scared about not meeting those requirements that Sergio was mentioning before. But I feel happy that El Corte Inglés took the risk, because for them it was a lot of risk, obviously control risk, because they did a test in order with some customers. They started proving PAC technology, and I think El Corte Inglés was key for the success of what PAC is today. Obviously, they have a great team, they have a great technology, but having that partner is obvious, very, very clear for their success. Or that is in terms of collaboration, but we were also mentioning about investment. For example, we have the example of Silence, the electric motorbike company from Catalonia. It was firstly financed by Repsol. Without them, it is very difficult for an entrepreneur to build a factory of electric vehicles, electric motorbikes in this case. Afterwards, after a period, Repsol thought it has already been a success investment. Okay, it's time for another player to come. Acciona came, they bought their part, and now we all know the motorbike sharing that they have. Probably the Gen Z people here, you only know that part and not the traditional part that what they do. And what I really like is that probably in 20 years from now the motor sharing may be a very tiny revenue stream for Acciona, but in 20 years' time, it is not going to be that little, and it's going to be much bigger revenue stream.
I remember in 2011 when Wayra started, that was kind of shocking. And after these years, I will share with you, and I will ask you your opinion. For me, because we ourselves are a corporate, because PwC is a corporate itself, sometimes we have seen that the entrepreneurs look at you, at me, for example, or at you, like if you were the company. You know what I mean? If you were PwC, or if you were, and for me it's quite important to understand that big corporates does not exist. People working in big corporates is what exists. So if you can align your objectives with the person, the guy or the girl that you are talking with, that will make you go much more faster. That is the first thing. And the second thing I will share with you, and I will ask your opinion, is, for example, Carlos, the first time, I don't know if you remember, sure, because your company is not so old, the first time you thought about, we have to talk with this big corporate, how did you attack them? How did you plan that meeting? What were you looking for? And what, after this year, you said it was terrible, or we made the goal?
Actually, they reached out to us, which is a good advantage to negotiate. But we were very analytical about our next step. So after a year of the company, we could go like the traditional venture capital path, and you get money, you burn money, or go with a corporate, right? And at the end of the day, we did both, right? We went with a corporate and with a venture capital, but mostly the corporate. So what happened with the pros of the corporate? So first, it gives you the financial comfort to survive forever. And I think that may be a question afterwards. In the financial turmoil that is facing ahead of us in the next 2 years, where it's going to be very difficult to raise money for many startups, it's not that bad to have a big guy with you that gives you the financial support to survive for the upcoming 2-3 years, right? So already that was helpful. And then it was very clear what other things we could learn from them, what other synergies we could get from them. It was very clear for us. It was cars, it was debt, it was know-how, and very big facility that, by the way, is 200 meters from here. If you guys want to visit ClickCars, is walking distance from here, right? So first, they reach out to us, which is good. So that means that you didn't have to, they need to really do a deal with them. And second, again, once you have very clear rules of what you want, you don't want, and what they can offer to you, it's okay. And they were fast. So I agree with you that, okay, you can think of Peugeot like 200,000 people. It's going to be super slow, a dinosaur, blah, blah, blah. But the people ahead of us were very fast, were very quick.
The right person,
yes.
Just to understand.
Absolutely. You have what we say a champion, no? Inside the corporation. It was easier for you because they knocked your door. But usually what you say, in the big corporations, there are people. So if you have... Sometimes. But if you identify your champion, of course, you have a lot of advantage, because you need to identify that person or that people who can help you to go inside the corporation. And in your case, it was that they knocked your door. So I imagine that someone, or at least a team, they decided, I would like to go with you. And that is very important. It's true that you need that champion to help you to go through the corporation.
Yeah, and to complement also, it's true that, I mean, for founders of a startup, I mean, your startup is your life, is everything, etc. But for a big corporation that makes 100,000 million euro revenues, like investing 4 or 5, you know, yeah, that need to go to compliance and all these typical rules. But it's for 4 or 5 million or 10 or whatever, right? So in the scale of this company, it's not that big of a decision, so it does not need to go to the CEO, etc. So that it can go fast as
For
well.
example, Carlos, sorry, but I would like to know, how do you deal with the decision to have the investment or only an agreement? Because I imagine that for a lot of startups, usually when a corporation say, okay, I would like to invest in your company, it's like, oh my God, wait a minute, because
Is it good or not?
Yes. So how do you deal that? I mean, it was since the beginning that they say, I would like to invest, or how was the process?
Yeah, it was like that. I mean, a partnership or an agreement you can do with whatever company very quickly, right? The moment of truth is when they need to put the money, right? So it was clear what they wanted. It was clear what we needed. We were in the process of raising money. We had different options, luckily. And again, we did a very analytical decision process to choose what we do. And again, at the end of the day, we had both, which is good. Had the best of the two worlds, but it worked quite well.
Talking about what you have said, just a question to Angel and Carlos from different points of view, Javier and Angel. When do you say to a startup, please do not work with that big corporate? Because you can say that from the, Angel will say it because you are advising them and sometimes you are investors and you are in the advisors. So when do you think, because that is the non-polite point, but it is quite important, yes. For me, I can say, I've said many times, or for example, timetable, or for example, due date, or whatever. When do you think, don't do that, but how do you help them to state the right way to make a relationship with a big corporate?
I have it very clear. And it's very, very similar to what Carlos was saying. At the end, it's a decision process. And what I always tell them to think is, okay, what is the win-win? They are not going to give you the money just because, or they are not going to collaborate with you just because you are interesting or because you appear in a magazine or in a Referente or in the Emprendedores magazine. What is the win-win? What can you offer them in order for them to be attracted to you? If you don't have their win, don't touch them. You are going to lose that bullet. If you touch their door and you have nothing to offer, you are only ask them for what you need to win, then is when you are lost, right? Okay. So I always encourage them, okay, what is exactly what they need? What is this big corporation or small, medium businesses? We always think about all these IBEX 35 companies, but we can also think about small, medium businesses that can help startups or can be customers or even investors of the startups. What is going to be their win? Even when they are fundraising, I always tell them, even if it is a business angel or any other kind of investor, don't forget that they are giving you their money in order for you to multiply it. That is their win. Don't forget that. Like, you have to be very conscious. You are asking them for money because you are going to deliver something.
It's quite interesting. But please, Javier.
No, I fully agree with what my mate said. I think that the entrepreneurs are very aware of what the corporate is in terms of pros and cons.
Do you think so?
I think so. So we don't have to say nothing. And obviously, the situation in which the startup is, sometimes it's very good, so have more power to negotiate, and sometimes it's not so good, so they have to be more flexible. As Carlos said, I think that the most important thing is to set the rules in which the startup will be able to work with the corporate to be comfortable. And also it's very important that the corporate, because not every corporate are equal. It is not. I think that there are some corporates which are more innovative, which are the innovation is more in his DNA, or are more aware about the the terms of the investment or his corporate culture is different. I think that's something that the entrepreneur knows and something that he values to take a decision. So they don't need our advice on that point because they really know what are the choices and what could happen in every choice.
Quite interesting.
I think that it's very difficult because when you have a potential agreement, a potential deal with a big corporation with big figures, that they say, okay, they are going to bring me 1 million, 2 million, doesn't matter. It's very difficult to say, okay, forget it. I mean, when you are on the table and you are speaking with entrepreneur and they explain you, we are doing this and the other, all of us, a little of us, they say, okay, maybe this time we are going to have a good agreement. So it's very difficult to say, cut and forget it. But usually there is a point on time that they say, okay, if they don't have any commitment, forget it.
Yes, the point is, how do you measure that? You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
of course, it is fantastic. They want to work with us. They will put a lot of money on for me, under my experience, I've seen a lot of startups that have been working with a big corporate during months, and suddenly at the end, the responsible of the big corporate is changed after 8 months, and they say no. It's, so for me, the point is, of course, the big corporate is an incredible partner, but please be aware that he is another kind of animal with another kind of breaths, different feed, is fed by
Process and
different
timings and
things or whatever. So, having you here, imagine that you have an entrepreneur in front of you, and he's thinking about talking with a big corporate. What are 2 or 3 things that you will say to him or to her just to face this relationship or this new opportunity? What would you say? I don't know. Well, maybe any of you can answer.
Who wants to go first?
Eh?
Who wants to go first?
Please.
I mean, I think the entrepreneur needs to forget if it's a VC, it's a corporate or whatever, right? It's, okay, what does my startup need right now? I need capital. Do I need know-how? Do I need debt? What do you need? And then you put your criteria, what you need, and then you go and meet venture capital, you meet the corporate, you meet all the different options that you can have to meet those goals. And I think you need to close a bit your eyes to say, I mean, and not look at who's in front of you. Is what do you need and who can offer you the best opportunities, right? And for me, that's the way. It's from internal, be clear on what you need, and then go and have the discussions.
Sergio, what do you say?
I think that it's very similar than Carlos, but maybe an advice is that in a big corporations, try to knock different doors. Because sometimes you speak with one person that maybe if you are lucky, they love your product, your service, and it's your champion. But usually it's very strange that happens at the beginning. So try to knock different doors, because if you have different doors in which you can speak and go inside the corporation, it's better. So my advice is try to speak with different people in the same corporation, not only one.
Okay. Angel?
Yeah, I really like what Sergio just said. Touching a lot of different doors, I think it's key, especially because big corporations as well as venture capitals, they are doing their business. You are not the first thing on their list, right? So I think that is key in order to get what you want, right? It's key to touch as many doors as possible, even if it is in the same corporation, in order for one to open and try it from below, from upside down, anywhere. Obviously, the closer you can get, the better. If you want to have someone that can introduce you, the better than, okay, just sending a message through LinkedIn, right? It is this kind of, obviously, the closer you are to the company, the better. So yeah, I completely agree with that view of, that advice of touching as many doors as possible.
Okay. Javier, what would you say?
No, just I very agree with all the panelists. As an investor, I usually be aligned with the entrepreneur through a shareholder agreement. I think we have to find the way to align the interests of the company and the corporate through whatever agreement we can sign or we can reach.
Alignment. I think alignment with the business with the business.
Yeah.
As close as you are to the business, if it is a bank or business of banking, or with the business, and schedule, because sometimes timing is not the same. So we have 3 minutes. I don't know if you have any question, because we are just finishing this panel, and you have any final question you may ask, please. I don't know if we have microphone, or we will shut. Okay.
I have a question to you, Carlos. How did you get to the decision that you get to the big corporate as an investor, as I understood? Did that hinder you to partner with other big corporates? Because you often hear from investors that if you get a big corporate like Peugeot, that you can't work with Mercedes. So what is your thought on this?
Yeah. In our case, it was both a strategic deal and a capitalistic deal. So somehow it closed the door to other partners, right? However, so that's for the capital. So Mercedes Daimler cannot enter our capital, for example. But we could definitely partner in terms of business with Daimler. And that's what we did, right? In our business, you need to buy cars, recondition them, and sell them online and deliver them. And when you're buying cars, for sure, we bought cars from Mercedes, and we bought cars from car rental companies, leasers, etc. And the fact that Stellantis now, Peugeot, was in our capital, it didn't prevent from doing any strategic or business decision. So it was good.
Okay, I think we have 1 minute, almost 45 minutes, because people, guys of the organization is just here. No, it's okay? So, thank you very much, Ángel, Javier, Carlos, Sergio. We hope it was interesting, and anything you want to talk with us, we will be outside. Thank you very much.